And happy Thursday, and welcome to Self Love Lunch Break with me, Diana, your sacred self love coach. Happy Thursday. I would love to hear from you where you're joining me from. If you're online and you're tuning into this, then let me know where you are, how you are, what you're up to. Hello, Kev. Good to see you. And I love to hear from you, so chat away. Throw me your comments in the chat. That'll be awesome. So today is part 4 of the series Awake in August, Getting Woke in August, as I said. Yay, Kev! and me and my alliteration, Awake in August. And it's all about living in full awareness, living as consciously as we possibly can, living as alert and as awake to our true natures as possible. And so what I've been talking about for the last couple of Tuesdays and Thursdays on Self Love Lunch Break is the different parts of who we are. So, as I've said so many times, I'll say it again. There's that example of when I ask you to move your arm and you move your arm, and then I say, who is moving your arm? You will answer, I am. And so then my question is, so who is that I am? And that's when I talk about true essence or higher self or soul or your spiritual self, that's who I talk about, that I am, the part of you who is the true essence of who you are, who is directing your physicality, your body, which is your one body, your physical body, who is directing your thoughts, your mental body, and who is directing your emotions, your emotional body. And so those are the 4 centers that I've been talking about a lot lately. Your physical, your emotional, your mental, and your spiritual. And there is quite a hierarchy with them. At the very foundation of us as human beings, so being spiritual beings, having a human experience, at the very foundation of that human experience is our physical being. So our physical body, our movement, our physicality, what and how we do it. The next one, the one that's at the top of the hierarchy is your spiritual self, your higher self, the part of you that's connected with source, the part of you that is directing the other bodies. And in between, we have the emotional body and the mental body. And I purposely kind of jumped because the mental body is the one that's higher than the others, but just below spiritual self or sacred self. So that connects all of the parts of who you are with your true essence, with your soul, with your spiritual self. And we chatted about your mental body, your mind, your thoughts already on Tuesday. And I strategically skipped emotions and left emotions for today, even though emotions are kind of next up on the rung from your physical body. What emotions are as well is they are one of the key languages of this human experience. So I like to think of your physical expression, your human experience as a sensory guidance and communication system. So we've got our bodies that speak to us in in pain, in unwellness or disease. So that's the language of our physical self. There are so many ways that our physical self can speak to us of our state of being. Then there's the mind. So there's confusion, there are great ideas, there's creativity. That's part of the language of our mind to indicate the state of being of our mind. How is our mind? What is the quality of our thoughts? Are we coming up with ideas? Are we suffering confusion? Are we feeling brain fog? Are we feeling clear? So that's part of the language of the mind. And then you have the emotions, which are actually a language in themselves, communicating on behalf of our physical being and our mental being. And most importantly, our emotions are a communication language used by our true essence or our soul or our higher self to let us know how close or how far removed we are from who we really are. So when I say how close or how far removed from who we are being in our human experience to who we really are. So I'm going to dig more into this. So your emotions, yes, you have an emotional body, and that's one of the parts of your human experience. It's one of the parts of your human beingness, and yet it is also a, quite a binder that connects your mental self, your mind, with your body, your physicality, and with your soul, your spiritual self, your higher self. So to understand, acknowledge, accept, appreciate, and work with your emotions at every level, whatever they are, is so key, because this is the clearest language that your higher self or true essence has, your inner being has, to communicate with you, so that you can then make decisions and choices to your highest benefit, for your expansion, for your evolution. You can make decisions and choices that will take you steps closer to fully actualizing, to becoming who you came here to be. So let's keep digging into this. So if this is a language system, how do we understand what is happening? So basically, how do you feel? And I've said this before, there are no wrong emotions, there are no bad emotions. But you have to admit that sometimes you'll feel something and it feels good, and some other things you feel and they feel bad. So if we don't want to use that word bad, they feel they don't feel good. They feel uncomfortable. They feel and obviously, as soon as we start trying to describe feelings with a word other than bad, I start using feeling words. So, like sadness, depression, boredom, frustration, those things don't feel as good as joy, harmony, excitement, creativity, anticipation. There is a definite scale of emotion. And Abraham Hicks teaches about the scale of emotion, going from the base, the very, very base, being fear and guilt and shame, and all of those ones that feel really, really, really horrible when we feel them, to right at the top, having pure joy, elation, right at the top, and everything in between. So, key to managing this system and understanding this language and making it really work for you is, again, I'm going to give you some steps on this. I'm going to give you some four key pointers. The first one is connect. As I say with everything, with your body, with your mind, with your emotions as well. Connect with yourself. Connect with your emotions. Feel them and allow them. That's the first step. So as with anything, if it's unknown, it's unknown. And if it's unknown, what can you do about it? Nothing. You have no power over something that's completely unknown. So the first step is to connect so that that can become familiar. And as we've chatted about so many times, in this world that we live in, so often we're taught to suppress emotion. And I often talk about removing it. I'm going to talk about it more today. Stepping back from emotion, observing, detaching. That is very different from suppression. Suppressing an emotion as if it's not there, or as if it's not legitimate, or as if it's bad, actually creates more shame. And shame is one of the lowest scale emotions to be felt. And shame around self is so debilitating, so damaging. It does nothing to uplift us. It does nothing to take us those steps closer to actualizing and who we want to be at our fullest. So, suppressing emotions, bad idea. Acknowledging, connecting, accepting emotions, great idea. Because from there comes the second step. The second step is to observe. So start observing. This is all about, as I've said so many times, this is about being awake in yourself, being aware, being alert in your life, living consciously takes self-knowledge. So start observing. Observe when you feel a certain way. Observe what are the stimuli, or what are the triggers, what are the situations that bring certain emotions. And again, tying up very closely to what we discussed on Tuesday and last week, Thursday. It's the same with your body and with your mind. There are stories in play that affect your emotions. So you hold beliefs and you hold them in your body and you hold them in your mind, and you hold them in your emotional system. So start observing what emotions come up when, and how do those emotions make you feel? So now that you're accepting that there are all these emotions, you'll feel something, and then you can decide on your scale, is this where I want to operate? How how do I feel when I'm feeling this feeling? So for example, when I'm feeling excitement, does it feel good or does it drag me down? When I'm feeling rage, does it feel good or does it drag me down? And just start observing that. And this brings me to point number 3. So point number 3, so it's the connect and accept, and then the observing, which is just really watching yourself as if you're watching a TV show. And then the third step is recognizing the gaps. Because as you're observing, what you're really doing is any emotion that brings you down is pulling you away from your true essence, your inner being, your soul's version of what you are here for in this human experience. Any emotion that lifts you up is bringing you closer to that. And this ties in with the whole law of attraction and manifesting what you want in your life. The desires that we all have are so real and so true, and they don't come from nowhere. They come from our inner being. They come from our purpose, why we're here in this life, why we chose this human experience. So check in with yourself and start observing those gaps. If you're feeling down, if you're getting dragged down, that feeling of heaviness, not feeling good, the opposite of good, feeling bad, what emotions are there? What brought them up? And this will link you back to that work that we spoke about on Tuesday with your mind, where you start looking at what stories we're running. So what is my story that I've got stored in my emotional body about this? And it can definitely be linked to my mind, to my mental body, and it can be definitely linked to my physical body. So experiences that you might have had in your past, things you're exposed to, it could even be other people's experiences. Often we will store trauma on behalf of what we've seen around us or what we've seen someone close to us endure. Very much so when it comes to parents. We've watched our parents go through things, or our siblings, because it's so close to us when we're younger, we store that as our own story. So check your stories. What stories are running around these emotions? And here comes something in the observation section of these steps. So accepting, connecting with your emotions, accepting them. That part might be tough enough. And secondly, the observing part, this can get really tough, is when you observe an emotion and you realize that it brings you down, it makes you feel bad, you don't like that emotion, and yet it's an emotion that you seem to choose time and time again. That can be hard. That can be a tough one. And that's related again to what I mentioned on Tuesday and last week Thursday when it comes to things with your physical body or with your mind. There can be certain patterns and certain stories playing out that actually you are comfortable with, but they're not something you would choose for yourself from a higher choice level. So start observing and watching out for those gaps, and remember to try and stay detached in these moments. They're going to be tough moments. You're going to catch yourself feeling things that you might have become pattern. It might become a pattern for you that you, on a subconscious level, want to feel, and it might be shocking. I told you guys a story. Hi, Kavin. I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Kavin Prasad. Hi. Good to see you. And Mutalaba and Claire, welcome, welcome. So a very important part is step 2 and 3 is the observation and then checking out what those gaps are. How far away are you? And again, what I mentioned on Tuesday is your vision that you have for yourself in your life. Who is the version of you in that vision? And when you're observing these emotions and these feelings and accepting them because they're there, they're real, as you observe them, just think and watch and think, is this how the best version of me chooses to feel? Because whether we like to admit it or not, our emotions are also a choice. Our emotions are also ours to direct. The more we get in touch with our inner self, the more we connect with our true essence, with our soul, the more we become the director of every part of ourselves, directing our bodies, directing our mind, our thoughts, and directing our feelings. Yes, I said it, directing our feelings. We don't have to be controlled by our feelings. Step one is definitely connecting and observing and accepting. Step two, more observation from a detached perspective. Step three, checking out what the gaps and stories are. And step four, this is where the power comes in. This is where you step into your own power and take that role as your empowered best self. You adjust. So how do we adjust? It's easy to hear if I have to tell you something like, well, choose a better feeling. But when you're depressed, for somebody to say choose a better feeling it can literally drive you to run into the nearest brick wall. Think about that though. Running into the nearest brick wall might be frustration. Frustration is a next level emotion up from depression. So in a way it could have helped it, but it won't because you're going to still feel bad. You're going to still feel heavy. And so here are key tricks on how to choose a different feeling, how to choose a better feeling. The one is to change your body, change your physicality. This is key. There are teachers all over the world teaching this. If you feel a feeling that's heavy, it's dragging you down and it does not feel good, shift your body. Do something, do anything. Jump up and dance, go for a run, go for a walk. Just get up and move out of this spot you're in. You might just need to move to a different spot. Go outside. Do something with your body so you can actually lift your emotions, shift your emotions, and raise yourself up by changing the state of your body. So that's trick number one. So if you feel a feeling and it's dragging you down and it's not a good feeling, shift your body. It'll help you feel different. The next thing, so do you see how the different parts of who we are, we use them all together as a beautiful machine to achieve what our inner being and our true self really wants for us in this life. The key is being in touch with our inner being and our true self and what we really want in this life. So the next thing, so that's the first one, is use your body, and the second one is use your mind. So that other center of you. So you're feeling a bad feeling, a feeling that feels bad, that doesn't feel great, that's dragging you down. Think different thoughts. Hugely powerful in this point, in this space, is gratitude. There might be a situation where you can't move your body. You might be in a packed train, or somewhere where you're literally very limited on how much movement you can do. That's going to be safe and conscious. So then choose a different thought. And it can be hard as well. Like if you're feeling depressed, or you're feeling frustrated, or you're feeling grief. Suffering grief can be one of the most numbing things, because it just fills every fiber of your being, and it is so real. When we've lost something and we're suffering loss and there's grief filling us up, it can take over everything. So then you think, well, how do I change my thinking? How do I choose a good feeling thought in that space when I'm in a space of true grief? A beautiful, beautiful place to start, and the most powerful space for any of us to start, is gratitude. So just think of one thing that you appreciate. And it could be something completely general in your life. Like let's say you are on that packed train and you can't really move your body and you can't make a big shift physically. You could think of the fact that you're grateful for the train because it gets you to and from where you're going, and then just let it flow from there. Let it roll down the hill, so to speak, like a small snowball that starts rolling down a snow-covered mountain and becomes an avalanche at the end. Let it roll. Let one gratitude thought spark the next and spark the next. And when you first start, it might be difficult, because when we're in a true space of depression or grief, loss, frustration, it can be really, really tough to think of things that we're grateful for. But you'll see, once you start thinking of one thing and then the next, and then just let them run and let them be silly. They can be the silliest thing, like I'm so grateful for that packet of crisps I just ate, or like just let them go, let them flow, let the gratitude flow. And gratitude is so super powerful to lift you up that scale of emotion and get you into a space where you're feeling better, where you're feeling more like your true self. And that is you having closed the gap. So what you've done is you've used the different bodies. You've used your mental body, your mind, you've used your physical body, and you've used your emotions to shift yourself and bring yourself back closer to how your true essence knows you to be, closer to who you really are, and close back onto the path, moving towards the things you want to manifest, back on the path of attracting what you want into your life, back on the path of creating the life and the experience that you came here for. So that's using your emotions in an empowered way. And that's how to, Master Co, who I follow, look for him online. He's everywhere. He's amazing. He's such a great teacher. He calls the different bodies, he uses the analogy of horses. So 3 horses with a charioteer. So he talks about the mind, the body, and the emotions as 3 horses. And in order to race your chariot, you need to get them all disciplined and in line with each other and in line with your vision for yourself, who you really are at your core, and where you're going in this life and what you want to attract and achieve. So I hope that has helped. I hope those tips on how to understand the language of your emotional body, how to use that guidance system, I hope that really, really helps you. Um, and then using the other bodies to support emotion, because emotion really connects all of the bodies together. When emotions go out of whack, you can use the other bodies, your mind or your physicality, to support and to pull yourself up emotionally. That's super empowered, super, super empowered. And then just another thing, which I actually learned from another great teacher, a friend of mine, Mia van Logga, her business is called Beyond Defense. So look for it online, Beyond Defense. She taught me, and it's not a new concept, it's just that when I learned it from her, I had forgotten about it. And so I love giving her credit for this. She also talks about a scale of emotion, and she encourages people to create a scale. So do that for yourself. Get in that first step of connecting and accepting and really getting to know your emotional self. Name your emotions and create your own scale. As I mentioned earlier, there is the Abraham scale of emotion from top to bottom, and which one is leading you, which emotions are bringing you closer to your true self. But build your own. How powerful is that? How absolutely powerful is that? So thank you so much for being here. Everyone who is here and wherever you are in the world, I wish you well. And I send you all my love and energy for you to love yourself better by getting to know yourself, accepting yourself, embracing all these different aspects of who you really are and why you're here in this life. Keep loving yourselves. I'm quite excited to get to part 5 and 6 next week of the series of Awake in August, because this is when we're going to start talking more about how to bring them all together. First Tuesday, we're going to do a drop in, a visit with our true essence, our sacred self, who we really are, how to connect with that part of who we are. Now that we're working with all the other bodies, let's really get to how do you connect with your true essence and find out what you really want in this life and who you really are and what your mission is here. So I look forward to seeing you next week, Tuesday. In the meantime, have a beautiful weekend and keep loving yourself, because you are worth it. And remember, you are the love of your life. Ciao for now. Thank you.